This is the Chamber Chat Podcast, the show dedicated to chamber professionals to spark ideas and to get actionable tips and strategies to better serve your members and community. Hello, Chamber Champions. Welcome to Chamber Chat Podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Burton, and it's my goal here on the podcast to introduce you to people and ideas to better help you serve your chamber members and your community. Our title sponsor is Community Matters, Inc. With nearly 20 years in the chamber industry and over 100 media awards presented to their chamber partners, Community Matters provides the R&R that every chamber needs: revenue and recognition. When it comes to publishing a chamber map, directory, or community guide, Community Matters has the trusted experience to help your chamber accomplish your goals. With different advertising sales models and publication styles, Community Matters will help you create a non-dues revenue machine. Let's hear from Becky Womble, President and CEO of the Bastrop Chamber, to hear about her experience using Community Matters.
I've been using Community Matters for probably 6 or 7 years now. And in a previous life, I sold commercial printing. So I can highly recommend Community Matters because it's a complete turnkey job for any busy chamber exec. Basically, you give them a membership list, and from there, they contact your members, and it's no high pressure sales or anything. And it really is a complete turnkey job from start to finish. And it's a wonderful, beautiful printed product whenever you're finished. And I'm very sold on Community Matters. And with a printing background, big endorsement for me.
To learn how Community Matters can support your chamber with your next publication, please visit communitymattersinc.com/podcast to request your free media kit and request a proposal to find out what kind of non-dues revenue you can generate. Our guest for this episode is Travis Toliver. Travis is currently in his 10th year serving as executive director for the Waverly Chamber of Commerce and the Waverly Main Street program in Iowa. Travis continues to use his acquired skills to help better the Waverly business community, the state of Iowa, and the upper Midwest. He proudly serves on the board of directors for the Mid-American Chamber Executives, Waverly Area Development Fund, and several other local organizations. Travis is past board member for the Iowa Association of Chamber of Commerce. During his 2 terms as board chair, Travis helped to lead IACC through a management change, a rebrand and name change, and a revamp of IACC's conferences and education programs. Travis is a 2020 IOM graduate. In 2021, Travis was appointed by Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds to help empower Rural Iowa Initiative's GROW task force, which focuses on addressing the recruitment and retention of emerging leaders in rural communities. Travis, we're excited to have you with us today here on Chamber Chat Podcast. I'd love to give you an opportunity to say hello to all the Chamber champions who are out there listening and share something interesting about yourself so we can all get to know you a little better.
Well, thanks, Brandon, for having me on the show. I really appreciate it. Big fan of the podcast, and just glad to be one of many amazing chamber directors out there that have been featured on your show. So thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We try to only get the best. So, you fit that criteria.
Well, that's a high bar.
Well, tell us a little bit about your organization, about the Waverly Chamber of Commerce and Main Street program. You guys are kind of grouped together with the two fronts there, but tell us about scope of work, size of chamber, staff, budget, just kind of set the stage for our discussion.
Sure. Well, the Waverly Chamber of Commerce was founded in 1937, and so we're over 85 years old. And in 1989, Waverly became one of the first Main Street communities in Iowa. And about 5 years later, the two organizations decided to stop chasing the same money in town and merged together as the Waverly Chamber of Commerce and Main Street program. We have nearly 300 business members and investors in our organization. We're in a town of the size of 10,000 people. We also are the home to Wartburg College, which is a 4-year liberal arts college of the Evangelical Lutheran Church of America. And we're also the home to an array of amazing businesses, from big corporate entities such as TrueStage, GMT, a lot of manufacturers in town, Nestle, anything that's powder based that Nestle makes is made right here in Waverly, so our town always smells great. Right
Yeah.
on down to right on down to small businesses and mom and pop businesses that we really cherish in our community. And so Waverly, located in northeast Iowa, just north of Waterloo and Cedar Falls. We're a wonderful stop along the Avenue of the Saints on 218, and just really enjoy in this community. Our organization, we have 4 staff members, myself and another director who does our tourism and special events, are full time. And then we have 2 part time folks as well who help us with marketing, and another one with administrative responsibilities, our books, and those kinds of things. We have an amazing board of directors. I'm always blessed every year to have great people serving on our board, and then probably another additional 80 volunteers that help us throughout different communities or committees or different community events that we host. And so it's truly a volunteer-led organization. And I'm serving in my 10th year now as executive director, and really find myself in a great place and love being here.
That's great. I love doing these shows because every chamber is so different. So we get a little bit of perspective from different types of chambers and the different work that they're involved with. So
Absolutely.
I'm looking forward to the perspective that you bring to the show today.
Thank you.
Yeah. So as we discussed, some back and forth ideas about what to cover on this episode today, we settled on the idea because you had a lot of good ideas. So we wanted to kind of hone it down a little bit to just some tricks of the trade, rather.
Yeah.
So some of these things that you've learned throughout your career as a chamber executive, and just some of these things that maybe somebody new in the industry can hopefully pick up and adopt earlier on. And maybe those who've been in the industry a while longer, who are kind of banging their head against the wall, might be able to take some of these tips as well and be able to implement them into their life as well to hopefully make things a little easier. So I look forward to diving deeper into that topic and discussion as soon as I get back from this quick break. Are you looking for a year-round, affordable, and timely shop local campaign for your chamber or CVB? Look no further. Build a custom Eat, Shop, Play mobile app with App My Community by visiting appmycommunity.com/chamberchat. App My Community mobile apps are not just simple membership directory listings. They provide many more capabilities to engage with your community. Provide your residents with a robust events calendar. Partner with a local fair, festival, or farmers market to provide a schedule, map, and other resources to promote the event. Run a small business Saturday campaign any time of the year using built-in scavenger hunts. Allow your membership to communicate directly to their customers via push notifications. Your App My Community mobile app will be a unique member benefit, allow you to generate non-dues revenue with sponsorship opportunities, and best of all, provide a valuable resource to your community. Please visit appmycommunity.com/chamberchat now to receive 10% off your first year of an App My Community mobile app. Are you looking for a way to promote your business community? Look no further than Pipily. With Pipily, you can get all the tools you need to connect with your members, promote your businesses, and grow your community. Pipily offers a wide range of features, including a state-of-the-art community website, a community clicker mobile app for businesses, members, and the community, a marketplace where businesses can present professional services and even sell their products, a powerful event management and community calendar system, a comprehensive commerce community management system, and a complete membership services department, all included. And best of all, Pipily is only $1 per member per month after a small initial setup. That's a fraction of the cost of other management platforms. So, what are you waiting for? Sign up for Pipily today and start growing your business community. Book a time to learn more at pipily.com. That's PIPPILY.com to book a time to meet and learn more. We'll show you how Pipily can help you promote your business community and grow your subscriptions. All right, Travis, we're back. As I mentioned before the break, today we're talking about some tricks of the trade when it comes to chamber work. And I imagine over the last 10 years that there's been a few things that you've figured out maybe, or I don't want to say shortcuts because I think shortcuts kind of cheapens the idea of things, but ways to be more efficient, we'll say.
Absolutely, absolutely, and it's great to get on podcasts like this or get on webinars or conferences that talk about really big picture stuff. But sometimes I feel like when you just kind of narrow it down and, like you said, drill it down to just the little nitty gritty tricks of the trades that helps you be more efficient. Certainly, as chamber directors, we know that our time is precious and valuable, and we don't get a lot of a time to do the things that we really need to be honing in and focusing on. So I thought I'd put a little list together of things that would hopefully help others that I've learned, and certainly will keep improving upon.
Absolutely. So I think it may be best just for us to kind of work our way through the list and tell us
Sure.
how you utilize these different tools, these different tricks, and
Yeah,
kind
absolutely.
of expand on it from there. So
Yeah.
the first one I know is we set up this appointment. I use Calendly as a tool to schedule and to book guests onto the show.
Hmm.
And you were quick to mention that you use Calendly as well. So talk to us a little bit how you use the scheduling tools like Calendly to help alleviate some of the pressures in your life.
Well, yeah, and a lot of these are anxiety based, right? They're supposed to be anxiety relievers, and so Calendly came along. Somebody mentioned it to me, and I looked into it and found that I was just really frustrated with how long it took to go back and forth with somebody to set up a meeting. And then found Calendly. I'm sure there's other scheduling apps out there just like it, but it really helped to eliminate a lot of the back and forth. And so when you're trying to set up a meeting, sending a link to your calendar that Calendly links to, and having the other person choose a time that works best for them. Is really, really helpful. In addition, I would also say too that if you're going to use Calendly and you maybe don't want all of your free time to be options on there, make sure to block off other times on your calendar for yourself as well. If you're working on a project or you're going to be out for a meeting or something like that, just make sure that those times are noted on their calendar so that they don't become options on Calendly as well. But yeah, it really eliminates the back and forth. And I was really excited when you sent me a link to your Calendly. I was like, yes, another person that's using it. Fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll add just a couple things that I've learned in using it is one, there, like you're saying, there's a lot of features within Calendly where you can set
Mhm.
your available times. You can say if you only want to meet with people on these 3 days of the week, because then you've got office time or office hours the other time, you can set that. But
Right.
I've also learned that I need to be more disciplined in adding things to my calendar, like from my personal life.
Yeah.
So if my kid has an awards thing at their school, I need to put that on my calendar so it shows as I'm, that time slot's occupied on my calendar. So
Yeah.
when someone goes to
Absolutely.
Calendly, it doesn't double book me. Yeah.
Right, right. And if you really want to drill down too, Calendly has a feature where you can embed certain time marks on your email to a person. And so if you have certain options that you only want to give somebody, you can embed those into an email and then just give them those choices and nothing more. And that's very helpful as well. I think there's also a kind of a polling option so that you can poll multiple people on
Mhm.
an email for different times. It's just got a lot of great features, and they keep enhancing it year over year. And so, it does cost a little bit to be a part of, but I think it's certainly worth the investment.
Yeah. And I want to say I just got an email the other day saying that I'm hoping it was Calendly and not a different platform I use, but they were saying about a price increase and it was going to work out to be like, I don't know, 87 cents a week or something increase. I'm like, totally worth it.
Yeah,
Like, I
absolutely.
mean, totally worth it. No brainer.
80,
So
88 cents. I might question it, but 87, you're
yeah,
okay
87, we're in a good deal, right?
for sure.
Um, so along the lines with scheduling and managing your calendar and protecting your time, but also being available to those that you need, how do you utilize out of office to work into your calendar time?
Yeah, so a lot of people only use their out of office when they're actually going to be out of the office, right? On vacation or maybe a conference or whatnot. But I have found that if I that you can also use out of office when you need to have some time to yourself. Again, some of those white spaces that we talked about with Calendly on your calendar. If you want to block off time to, maybe do some research or do some reading, or just, maybe just simply get through emails, um, you know, putting an out of office on, just letting people know that to expect a delay in your response, I think is very helpful. It's I think maybe borderline too transparent, but at the same time, it just lets people know that, hey, you're focusing on something right now, and you'll get back to them when you can. I think so many times people get caught up in responding to emails so fast and being a part of conversations. And this is just kind of my trick to make sure that emails are maybe a secondary priority during certain times of the day, so that I can focus on things that really do need to get done. And so just letting people know simply that there's just going to be a delay in your response. And if you can gauge it out, even better. If you can say, hey, I'm not going to get back on my emails until 4 p.m. or something like that, or the next day. I think that would be very helpful too, to let people know that they'll be expecting a response from you in a certain amount of time. But again, just trying to carve out that white space for yourself, and just letting people know that you're not going to be responding so quickly. And I think that's very helpful to them.
Yeah, when I think of all the responsibilities that are put on a chamber staff, you're getting pulled so many different directions. And if you utilize your out of office response to say something to the effect of, I check emails between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. each day. And, if it's after 10 a.m., expect a response tomorrow, or, that sort of thing, whatever
Right.
your parameters are. It sets that expectation, because we have become a world where people expect that instant response. And even in an email, how often have you emailed to somebody and they email right back, and then like you might as well be texting, right? Because the back and forth with the emails.
Exactly.
And I've used a tool called Boomerang. So if you use a Gmail platform,
Hmm.
Boomerang is an add-on. So even if I see the email and I can type it out, the response, and then I can schedule kind of a delay in when it gets sent. So I can say, send it tomorrow morning. That way the person on the other end doesn't think that I'm sitting here doing a back and forth with them. But it gets off my list and I don't have to think about that email anymore.
That is a great tool, and of course, Outlook has that ability as well to schedule emails to go out at a later time. And I think for night owls out there that don't mind, opening up
Yeah.
their laptops on their couch at 10 o'clock at night and start going through emails, that's a great way to respond rather than shooting off emails at all hours of the night. Some people, surprisingly enough, look at their emails if their phone lights up. And I typically try to turn that feature off at a certain time of the night, but others don't. And so if you don't want to be that person that gets caught sending out emails at obscure hours of the night, that's a great feature. Absolutely.
Yeah, I utilize that quite a bit. So
All right, good. That's good to know.
yeah, no, but I think it's important to block your time, to be able to protect certain time and know I'm going to be out visiting members, or we've got
Hmm.
these events going on. Like, I'm not going to be in front of the computer to respond to emails, or my phone to respond to emails.
Yeah.
And if it's urgent, people can always call,
Right.
like they can still get
Right.
a hold of you, but email doesn't need to be the first option for those urgent things. So,
Absolutely. And I would also mention too to make sure you block off that time on your calendar as well, so it doesn't show up on your Calendly.
yes, good idea. So I think this is progressing well. So as we talk about calendaring, how that translates over into email and managing your calendar and your time and the white space. But you had mentioned using Outlook, and I know other email platforms have similar options, but how do you utilize your Outlook to kind of prioritize those emails as they come into you?
Yeah, and so this is one I struggled with for years. I think all of us get an obscene number of emails each and every day, from really important information to advertisements and just junk. And I was getting frustrated with trying to find different organizational methods to really get my emails in a priority list, right? And to try to triage them in some way. And a few years ago, I had an assistant that came up with the idea of using the rules tool on Outlook. And I'm sure it's something else on another platform, but using rules to identify certain senders that might be of more importance than others. for their emails to go to a certain folder. And then try to triage that way. So the way I set my email up, and it's good that we get a lot of emails. It means we're doing a lot of things. We're involved in a lot of conversations. People want us to be in the know, and that's great. But I found myself finding that I was just getting buried with emails. A lot of important emails were getting buried under non-important emails. And so this was just a really great way to eliminate that. So I set up 3 different folders, folders 1, 2, and 3. And this takes about, oh gosh, I think maybe 1 or 2 months to really get implemented. But every day when you start out, you set up these folders in your inbox or your Outlook. And every day you go into your inbox, and each person that sends you an email, you've got to really think about how important that sender is to you. And so if it's a board chair or a board member, a staff member, the mayor, the city administrator, somebody from, a key stakeholder, a CEO of a large investor or something like that, I find those people to be, people that I really probably need to get back to pretty quickly. And so I set up in rules that all their emails go directly into folder number 1. Folder number 2 is folks on the secondary level, people that don't necessarily need an immediate response or don't usually send as important information as others, but you still want to get back to in a timely manner. Those folks go into folder number 2. And then honestly, folder number 3 just ends up being mostly the rest of the emails, which usually is, newsletters from other chambers or other organizations that you're involved in your community, different businesses that might be sending out periodical emails. Those go into folder number 3. And folder number 3 honestly gets checked maybe, once a week, maybe even twice a month sometimes, just depending on how much time you really have. And so I have found that triaging my emails in this fashion really helps me to prioritize my emails by the sender and how important that person is for me to get back to. So then when I open up my laptop in the morning, I don't go right to my inbox folder. I go to my number 1 folder, and I work through all those emails first. Then I go to number 2. And then knowing that most of the e-newsletters and advertisements go to folder number 3, I will then actually, after number 2, go back to the inbox folder, see if there's anybody new that's emailed me that needs to be assigned a folder. And then honestly, the rest of the emails that are in that initial inbox folder are just usually junk. And so I just go through a deleting spree and then get back to the other folders to go through more emails. It has lessened the anxiety of having hundreds, if not thousands, of emails sitting in my inbox, especially after you come back from a time off or a vacation or a conference. It's just a really helpful tool to be able to manage your emails easily, and even my board members and folks that I've put in the folder number 1 have mentioned, wow, it's so great that you're getting back to me in a better, timely fashion. And that made me very, very happy that the process was working, and I'm able to manage my emails better.
Yeah. So just maybe a personal question, in that
Sure.
folder number 3,
Yeah.
those are ones maybe once a week, maybe twice a month you get to.
Mhm.
What's your thoughts on unsubscribing from some lists?
Well, yeah, absolutely. If it's information that you're really not reading about or don't need, certainly unsubscribe for sure. But I do enjoy sifting through just newsletters and updates from other organizations, other chambers that I'm on their email list for, because we're always looking to steal, rip off, or duplicate ideas, right? So, but I try to just kind of skim through those and get that information, and then delete. But yeah, I don't unsubscribe too much unless it's something that I just absolutely will not use or will not read. And I don't know how in the world I got on their email list, so just unsubscribe and take them off. But honestly, go through, and I really try to make it a point to have that folder empty by the end of the month. I'll let it build up, but I do take off some certain times of the day or even at night, just kind of sift through those emails, see if there's any pertinent information I need to gather or some ideas or anything from other organizations, and then let them go.
Yeah. That's good. And I think we could have a whole nother discussion about how to get your chamber newsletter to end up in folder number one for people instead of folder number three, right?
There's a way to do that. That's absolutely
Yeah.
true.
Yeah. So, are there any newsletters or things like that that maybe by default would be a folder number three type of folder, but you tend to put in a folder one or two because of the value that's provided?
Yeah, for sure. Our a lot of our state organizations. You mentioned earlier in my bio, the Iowa Association of Chambers of Commerce, which I used to be a board member for. They have great information, great little tidbits or tips, kind of what we're talking about right now, tips of the trade. But also, I need to know about different roundtables or conferences coming up that I should be aware of. So I think organizations that are a little bit closer to home tend to fall into folder number two. Certainly that U.S. Chamber of Commerce. Certainly, if you're a member of that organization, a lot of great information. That's a folder number two. And then certainly if there's any organizations that you're, a board member for or related to in any way, you want to make sure that you're staying up to date on those. Those will get tossed into folder number two. But I mean, really, it is a small amount that gets sent to folder number two. You really got to be diligent about that because again, you want to value your time and make sure that it's being used appropriately. And so I would say that if there's an e-newsletter out there from an organization that you find extremely helpful and you love reading, and it's just a must have in your inbox, yeah, put that in folder number two for sure, or even maybe even folder number one. But I wouldn't get on the kick of doing too many of them, or else all you'll be doing is reading newsletters all day long.
Right, right. So, hypothetically, if you were to get an email tip of the day from Harvard Business Review, which folder would that end up in for you?
That actually goes into folder number one because I really enjoy reading those. And so, yeah, that's our next item on the list. If you're a leader like me that really enjoys learning more about just better management skills, HR skills, those kinds of things, subscribe. Please, please, please subscribe to the Harvard Business Review Manager Tip of the Day. It's really easy. You get a email. I think it's like around 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, and it's like one of the first emails that I read, and it is just a fantastic little nugget each and every day of how to improve your management skills, your HR skills. Just so many different scenarios that they put in front of you with great solutions, great ideas on how to combat different situations in our professional lives. And so, as we continue to try to grow and foster good and better leaders, not only in our field but in all areas of the business industry. I feel like if you're not subscribed to the Harvard Business Review Manager Tip of the Day, then you're really missing out on some really great free information. In fact, this is going to sound like I'm a hoarder, but I do keep all those emails. I drag them into another folder just specifically for that. Because if I get into a situation and I'm looking for advice or resources, that's one of the first places I'll go into. I'll go into that folder and I'll type in maybe some keywords that will bring up emails that in the past that have addressed maybe the issue that I'm confronting, and get some really great tip ideas. So it's become kind of a little email storage of management and HR knowledge for me that I just keep right there in that folder.
No, that's a good exercise showing the value that you're getting out of that email newsletter, right?
Absolutely.
So being able to have that bank, that library to be able to go back to when topics arise, and like I know I read something about this in the Harvard Business Review email, and you go
Yep.
search for it. That's great.
Yeah.
So great tip to share. Um, what other kind of tips or tricks of the trade are we maybe missing or didn't touch on?
Yeah, I think one that I had on the list, I think it was the last one that we were going to talk about. Uh, this it has nothing to do with our devices or anything like that, but during COVID, I found I was looking for a way to gather some folks on Zoom that could be kind of like an advisory council for me to bounce ideas off of how to better manage the crazy situation that we were all in, from a financial standpoint, marketing, from all different aspects. I didn't want to bother my board because my board, we meet already once a month and they're busy with their own lives. But I came up with the idea of reaching out to all my past board chairs that I could get in contact with and ask them if they would sit on an advisory council for me as the executive director, and just meet, so we can talk, share ideas, and come up with some really great solutions. I found that these people are still highly invested in our organization, even though they have not been directly associated with it for a very long time. Most of them are retired. Most of them are have a lot of free time on their hands, but at the same time, they still have a heart for our organization. At one point, they led our organization, so they have to obviously have an appreciation for what we do. And so to re-engage those individuals back into our organization, just by simply me asking them for their help, for their knowledge and their advice and their experience, has been extremely helpful. And so I would strongly suggest to any chamber director that if you are in need of a little council of people to just directly advise you, reach out to your past board chairs and bring them together. And we have, we don't meet regularly. I've tossed this idea out there to other chamber directors who have then started meeting regularly with this group. But even if it's as needed, just to re-engage those folks and make sure that they're involved in the organization that obviously at one point they were a passionate leader for, I think is really special. And so I really covet my relationships with all those past board chairs. And then in turn, it gets them re-involved again, and they get updated on what's going on. And most of them have re-signed up for our e-newsletter to make sure that they're getting into the organization. A lot of them are individual investors in our organization. They continue to be involved that way as well and supporting us. And so it's been a really great tool to have, especially during that crazy time when we just were getting fed information like a fire hose and didn't really know what to do or which way to turn. Those folks really helped me to stay grounded and push the organization forward in uncertain times.
I love that idea because otherwise, what do you do with these past board chairs who have such a love for the community and the organization and everything else? They've been so involved, and then you're just going to let them go by the wayside. Like, I mean,
Right.
it makes a lot of sense to gather them together, and I like the way you approach it, is having them be your advisory committee. So it doesn't have to be a regular meeting, but when something comes up, you're like, oh, this is a tough situation. You can bounce it off them, get some good sound advice. The one thing that comes to mind with this idea is, how would you, I don't know if it's ever come up, but I can imagine maybe at some point, um, maybe the current board chair feels like, hey, I've got a vision. I want to take this organization. And you're just listening to the voices of past board chairs. Um, how would you address that if that were to come up? Has that ever been a thought?
Um, it really hasn't, but I do involve my current board chair in those meetings.
There you go. That's a good
Excuse
way
me.
to overcome it. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so, when it comes to strategic planning and those kinds of things, I think having that current board chair, also talking with the past board chairs, not only gets gives some great information, but also gets some great feedback as well. And certainly an earful of what worked and didn't work back in somebody else's day. And just, I think tapping into those past experiences really helps not only myself, but certainly our current board chair in being able to shape their thoughts about the future of our organization. And I've been very blessed to have really great, passionate leaders who have wanted nothing but great success for the things that we do. And it's been amazing. And I don't know if I'd be interested to know if other chamber directors feel this way, but I feel like with each board chair that I've had over my tenure, has brought their unique set of skills to the forefront with whatever situation is going on with our organization. It just feels like the right timing to have that person in that seat on that year when there's been an issue that has come up or some kind of obstacle in the way or a project to be done. I've always had the right person in that chair to basically hone into one of their amazing skills to be able to see the organization through that situation, whatever it is. And so, yeah, I think engaging past board chairs along with our current board chair is a great thing. And then the current board chair knows that they're going to become a member of that group
Yeah.
down the road, not too far away. So it's good for them to get involved as well.
Well, it's a great training ground, and it's a good way of being able to pass along culture too.
You bet.
Where you're not standing alone as that current board chair. You've got a support as well.
Absolutely.
They're, in essence, an advisory council for the current board chair as well. So
Absolutely.
it's awesome.
And I believe too that if we as directors move on to something else, the incumbent chamber director will find that very helpful and very useful. So I'm glad that we're talking about this, because it actually reminds me to reach out to those folks and maybe get another Zoom meeting set up and engage with those folks again. And again, they can be anywhere. Yeah, we do it over Zoom. You can have it in person, I guess, if they're able to come. But we've found that a lot of our board chairs have left the community or retired somewhere else, and so if doing it over Zoom is just a fantastic way to just re-engage those folks. So
That's awesome. So I know we've been talking about tips, throughout the whole episode, but I always
yeah.
like to ask as we wrap up an episode, for those listening who are interested in taking their chamber up to the next level, if you might have any tip or action item that they might consider implementing at their chamber to accomplish that goal of going up to the next level.
And that's a great question, and certainly falls in line with everything that we've talked about thus far. I would just say, from a personal standpoint, just be open to new ideas. Be open to constructive criticism of events, of any programming that your chamber does. Um, Solicit feedback, whether it's good or bad. I think so oftentimes we only want to hear the good stuff, or we don't want to have people step on our toes or make our feelings feel bad. But I'm just one of those folks that I really welcome change, and I want to make sure that we're constantly improving on the things that we're doing. And so if there's other opinions out there about how we can do something better, I'm all for it. I have a dear friend who always reminds me to stay curious. And so I love to ask a lot of questions. And I tell upcoming leaders, whether it's through mentoring or other things, to listen louder than you speak. And so when I go into businesses, I say hi or introduce myself and just start asking questions, and then I listen and to just really take note of what it is that our businesses or our members are saying. And so that we're going back to the table with me and my staff, and we're trying to figure out solutions or taking input on events or different things that we do and trying to make them better, so that we're serving everybody the best way that we can. So listen louder than you speak, stay curious, ask questions, solicit feedback. All those things I think really help us as leaders, and certainly is a win-win for our chamber members as well. And that's who it's all about, right? It's all about
Yeah.
our members and growing our businesses and our communities. And that's, I think, one of the best ways we can do that.
Absolutely. I love that. Listen louder than you speak. That's a great leadership principle in general. Because as a leader, once you start talking, everybody else kind of shuts down, like, oh, he's talking. What does he have to say? But if you can
Right.
listen louder, let those ideas come in, it can help formulate your own thoughts and be able to help, take the ideas that other people are offering, so they have more buy-in to whatever it is that you end up deciding on, because you have
For
that
sure.
extra buy-in. So great
Yep.
leadership tip there. I like asking everyone I have on the show, as we look to the future of chambers, how do you see the future of chambers and their purpose going forward?
I think with each passing year, it gets increasingly more difficult to show the value of our organizations, because we're not selling really a tangible product, right? We're selling promoting and marketing and different events and those kinds of things, bridging people together. And so I think as long as kind of bouncing off of what we were just talking about, if you can find ways to show more value in the things that we do as chambers for our businesses, for our communities, it can only help reinforce the necessity for businesses and individuals to be a part of this organization that is supposed to only really do good for our business community, right? And so, just showing the value and then telling your story, making sure. Here in the Midwest, we get caught up a lot of times of really being humble and not wanting to toot our own horns. But in this day and age, you really have to tell your story or tell your organization's story and make sure that your the name of your organization or your logo is right out there in front and saying, "Hey, we are doing this for the community, and we're hoping that you find enough value in it that you want to be a part of it as well through your investment." And so just continuing to find more ways to show value, I think is the key for the future and the longevity of chambers of commerce.
I love that. Always being on the lookout of how to express and show that value. It's
Absolutely.
key.
Yes.
Travis, this has been a fun conversation, kind of a rapid fire of these ideas and principles that you've implemented, and hopefully people are listening, taking notes, hitting that back button a few times and re-listening to some of these points. But I wanted to give you an opportunity to share any contact information for listeners who might want to reach out and connect and learn a little bit more about some of these approaches that you take. What would be the
Sure.
best way for them to reach out?
Absolutely. Well, everybody's free to reach out to me via email. It's Travis, Travis, at waverlychamber.com. Waverly, Waverly, like behind me here, chamber.com. You're also welcome to call our office at 319-352-4526. Or if you happen to be in Northeast Iowa, drop in and say hi. We're downtown Waverly, 118 East Bremer Avenue, and we would love to chat with you for a few minutes and show you our community. But yeah, I'm always open to people emailing me and asking questions, and in turn, hopefully I can learn something from them as well.
That's right. That email might end up in folder number 3, but he'll get back to you in the next couple of weeks. So just full transparency here, right?
Right. Exactly.
No, I love it. I love it. You got to stay on top of things and be able to take control of your time so you can be as effective as possible. So
Absolutely.
that's great. Well, I will get all that in our show notes for this episode, make it easy for people to connect with you. But Travis, I want to thank you for spending time with us today here on Chamber Chat Podcast and for sharing all these tricks of the trade and things that you've learned through your experience. So thank you for being with us today.
Well, thank you for having me, Brandon. Appreciate it. And thank you for what you do for our industry. We appreciate it.
If you are a chamber professional, please subscribe to Chamber Chat Podcast in Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Spotify. When you subscribe to Chamber Chat Podcast, new episodes will show up in your podcast app each week as they are released. If you're finding value in this podcast, please leave us a rating and a review in iTunes. But most importantly, please share Chamber Chat Podcast with your colleagues that are in the industry.